In the 1800s, one family didn't just hold the world's wealth. They ran a private intelligence network that beat kings to the news. They funded entire armies, controlled sovereign debt, and built the world's first global banking empire. This is the story of the Rothschilds. Frankfurt, Germany, the mid-1700s. A narrow, dark street known as the Judengasse, the Jewish ghetto, a walled enclosure crammed with hundreds of families, locked from the outside every night and on Sundays. Among them lived a young orphan named Meyer Amschel Rothschild. Meyer's family lived in a house marked by a small red shield, zum roten Schild. That red shield would give the family its name. Meyer started as a small-time dealer in rare coins, antiques, and metals. He was meticulous. He studied every piece of metal. Soon, his reputation for honesty caught the attention of Crown Prince Wilhelm of Hesse-Kassel. Wilhelm was one of the wealthiest rulers in Europe, earning massive fortunes by renting out Hessian mercenary soldiers. Meyer became Wilhelm's trusted court factor. From a tiny room in a locked ghetto, Meyer Amschel Rothschild began building the foundation of the largest private fortune in human history. Meyer Amschel had a grand strategic vision. He knew that one man in one city could be crushed by local politics or war. To build an empire that could survive any storm, he needed a network. Meyer had 5 sons: Amschel, Solomon, Nathan, Karl, and Jacob. He dispatched his 5 sons to the financial hubs of Europe. Amschel stayed in Frankfurt, Solomon went to Vienna, Nathan moved to London, Karl established a branch in Naples, Jacob, later known as James, settled in Paris. They adopted a coat of arms featuring 5 arrows bound together. A single arrow is easily snapped. 5 arrows bound together are unbreakable. Meyer laid down strict family rules. The brothers must act as one combined unit, keep their accounts secret, and never chase excessive profits at the expense of safety. The world's first multinational private bank was born. In the early 1800s, Europe was engulfed by the Napoleonic Wars. Armies marched across borders, blockades froze international shipping, and communication took weeks. While governments struggled to get news from the front lines, the Rothschilds created their own private intelligence apparatus. They built a fast network of couriers, swift sailing boats, and secret agents across the continent. They used coded letters and hidden ciphers to protect their messages. Their couriers moved faster than official government messengers. If a battle broke out in Spain or Austria, Nathan in London or James in Paris knew the outcome days before prime ministers and kings. In the world of high finance, getting information first is the ultimate unfair advantage. The Rothschilds didn't just trade money, they traded high-speed data. By 1814, the British war effort against Napoleon was near collapse, not from a lack of soldiers, but from a lack of gold. The Duke of Wellington's army was trapped in Portugal and Spain, facing mutiny because the soldiers hadn't been paid. Shipping millions of physical gold coins through enemy-infested waters was nearly impossible. The British government turned to Nathan Meyer Rothschild in London. Nathan executed a masterclass in financial logistics. He secretly bought up massive quantities of gold across Europe. Using his brother James in Paris, Nathan smuggled the gold right under Napoleon's nose through France into Spain. They converted cash, cleared bills of exchange, and kept Wellington's army fully funded. By financing the Allied victory, the Rothschilds earned massive commissions and earned the eternal gratitude of the British Crown. June 18, 1815. The Battle of Waterloo. The fate of Europe hangs in the balance. A victory by Napoleon would shatter the British economy. A victory by Wellington would bring lasting peace. Thanks to his private courier network, Nathan Rothschild received news of Napoleon's defeat a full day before the British government's official dispatch arrived. Nathan walked onto the floor of the London Stock Exchange. He looked calm, cold, and calculated. Instead of bragging, Nathan quietly bought up British government bonds, known as consols, which were heavily discounted due to war panic. When official news of the victory finally hit London 24 hours later, bond prices exploded. Nathan waited 2 years for the post-war economy to stabilize, then sold those bonds for an immense 40% profit. It was one of the most daring bond trades in financial history. After the Napoleonic Wars, Europe was devastated and broke. Sovereign governments desperately needed massive loans to rebuild their nations, clear war debts, and maintain peace. The Rothschild brothers stepped in to fill the vacuum. Throughout the 1820s and 1830s, the 5 brothers acted effectively as a private central bank for the continent. They issued giant sovereign loans to France, Austria, Prussia, Britain, and the Papal States in Naples. If a king wanted to fight a war or suppress a rebellion, he needed a Rothschild loan. If he couldn't pay it back, the brothers dictated terms. By controlling sovereign debt across international borders, the Rothschild family gained political influence that rivaled the crowned heads of Europe. As Europe transitioned from war to the Industrial Revolution, the Rothschilds didn't just stick to government bonds. They recognized that the future belonged to infrastructure, energy, and raw materials. In France, James de Rothschild financed the construction of the Chemin de Fer du Nord, building the nation's primary railway network. In Austria, Salomon funded the Emperor Ferdinand Northern Railway. They backed coal mines, ironworks, and international shipping lanes. Later in the 19th century, the family acquired full control of the Rio Tinto copper mines in Spain and invested heavily in De Beers diamonds and global energy. They funded the technology of the 1800s, steam, steel, and mining, shaping the modern industrial world. By the mid-19th century, the Rothschild family possessed the largest private fortune in modern world history. They built magnificent country estates, bought world-class art collections, and owned prestigious vineyards like Chateau Lafite Rothschild. With unprecedented wealth came immense public scrutiny and hostility. Because they were a wealthy Jewish family operating in the high-stakes world of international finance, they became the central target of bitter political attacks, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, and populist rage. Critics blamed them for economic panics, foreign wars, and political shifts. Yet despite the intense hostility, the family maintained its quiet discipline, protecting its wealth by diversifying assets across multiple countries and expanding into massive public philanthropy. By the 20th century, the era of absolute Rothschild dominance began to shift. Two world wars destroyed many of their European assets, joint stock banks grew larger, and heavy estate taxes fragmented the family fortune across hundreds of descendants. Yet, the family remains active today in private wealth management, merchant banking, and philanthropy. The story of the Rothschilds is the ultimate blueprint for modern international finance. They proved that true financial power does not come from owning a single piece of land or holding a physical title. It comes from network effects, information speed, global diversification, and family unity. 5 arrows, bound together in a ghetto 250 years ago, transformed the global economy forever. The next time you see a global bank transfer, a sovereign bond issue, or a high-speed financial network, remember Frankfurt's Judengasse. Mayor Amschel Rothschild and his 5 sons didn't just build a bank, they engineered the global financial framework we still live in today. The empire decentralized, but the blueprint survived. We bring these interesting and educational videos on every week. Please press the subscribe button to support us. Thank you.